Hello, and welcome to Mean Reviews No Stars Given, the show where indie authors and filmmakers agree to have their work reviewed, presumably to deflate their egos enough that their heads are able to fit through doors once again. My guest host tonight is Nikki Nelson Hicks, our first hyphenated co host. Welcome,
You're
Nikki.
welcome. You're welcome. Hello there.
Before we get right into the first review, just a
Yes.
quick note about comments. We
Mm.
welcome everyone, but we'll only be looking at them after we review each book. So a little context in your comments would be extremely helpful. Thank you. Our first book to review is Chronicles of the Undead by Go Indie Now community member Anita A.F. Stewart. Great cover, by the way.
Beautiful
Uh,
cover.
Nikki will give us a quick synopsis.
Very quick synopsis. So, this book was written in the Stokeresque style of journal entries, and the story takes the reader through the trials and tribulation of a family that gets involved with a pair of vampires that pretty much destroy and manipulate the family from within. It's great fun, but it's very, very visceral, and yes, it's a great read.
Excellent synopsis. Let's get right
Mm-hmm.
to the things we like. I like casseroles. This is a tuna noodle casserole, similar to the
Mm.
one I made yesterday, which I sadly neglected to take a picture of. I really need to get better about that because how will people know what a great
How will
cook I
they
am
know?
if I don't obsessively document everything I make and then share it on the internet? But either way, now that the weather is getting colder, my thoughts are turning more often to casseroles. And
Mm.
surprisingly, there were none featured in this book. A rookie mistake, I would say. And I hope that she rectifies that in the next edition. Um, so unfortunately, that means I have to give Chronicles of the Undead 0 out of 11 delicious combinations of vegetables, a protein, and a starchy binder. What about you, Nikki? What do you like?
Well, for me, especially right now, as it's getting colder and we're entering into the holiday season, it made me think about. I like Norman Rockwell. I think his paintings of the holiday season. I love the idea of an ideal family gathering around a full plate of food and festivities and love and just really really good vibes. But this story, this family, the Harrington family, no, no. They are dysfunctional out the wazoo. So they're completely the opposite of a Rockwell painting, and because of that, I have to give this story like one half drumstick.
Ouch.
Sorry,
That's
I'm
some
sorry.
harsh truth from
Mm-hmm.
Nikki.
Sorry.
But I mean, I can't disagree.
Oh, they're a terrible family. Oh, the father. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the father. Which,
We won't
if
go into
people have watched
spoilers, but
the previous episodes, I hate my biological father, so I enjoyed that.
well,
Because eventually, that biological father is the worst. He's worse than my father, which is saying
terrible.
something. I mean,
Oh, he's a John
it
Wayne
would
Gacy of fathers. He's
it would
terrible.
it would be a different show for me to talk about my father. But
But
yes, I that is very true. That was almost one of the things I liked.
mm,
Later on in the show, I almost put that in that I didn't like, but I didn't want to spoil it. Oh well.
oh well, too late.
uh, yeah, too late. We spoiled that. But now it is time for things we can talk about that we liked without spoiling the plot. Would you
No,
care
we
to
still
go
haven't
first?
done stuff we don't like.
Oh, we didn't.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Oh, thank God you're here.
I'm here to
Um,
help.
you're right. As for what we don't like, that
Mm-hmm.
is it's great. I don't like germs,
Mm,
and a book about the undead in olden times is
yeah.
chock full of them.
Ooh, old time London.
Exactly.
Ew.
Yeah, and
Mm-mm.
I actually think germs are more scary than the undead because there are so many more of them, and I feel like the author did her readers a great disservice by failing to focus on them. Maybe Chronicles of Terrifying Hygiene would have been a better title.
Terrifying British hygiene.
Yeah, I feel like she left a
Mm.
lot on the table there, and that makes for a rating of 0 out of several billion germs. So what did you not like?
Stuff that I don't like. Okay, so I am very distrustful of groups of men that have super secret meetings and hoard all the information from the hoi polloi. I'm looking at you, Illuminati. I'm looking at you. And this book, unfortunately, it just kind of it glorifies them. It makes them actually into the heroes of a sort. So, because I have a huge hang up against, entitled men who try to keep all of the power to themselves, I have to give this one half overseeing eye.
Oh,
Sorry,
I
just
hate
one
all
half.
men,
Oh
so
man.
I'm.
Oh,
I mean,
so.
I'm even more aggressive than you are. I hate them all.
Oh
Um,
my God,
but
men.
now it actually really is time for things we can talk about
Oh
that we liked
yes.
without spoiling the plot. And I would love for you to go first.
Me go first. Okay, great. The thing that I really loved about this book was the fact that the interlocking journal entries had each one go further down the line actually props up and deepens the rest of the story. It was really expertly crafted. The writing of this is really good. It's delicious. This is really a fun book, and it takes you down a really cool rabbit hole of vampirism that I never really thought about. So kudos for AF Stewart. It was really good.
Well, that was a very sincere and serious thing
It
that you liked.
was.
I like dressing up in fancy clothes.
Oh, well, yes, you do.
Uh,
I know.
Here I am in one of my tuxedos wearing the custom handmade Seattle Mariners tuxedo vest that my mother made for me. Um, you can't see it, but I'm also wearing my Seattle Mariners cufflinks and my Seattle Mariners dress socks. So quite fancy.
Are you a little bit superstitious? Just a little bit.
No.
Oh,
Well, I mean, when I'm watching baseball, I am because that's
okay.
part of the deal. I always wear Mariners clothes on game day, and if it like during the playoffs, I was wearing a Mariners t-shirt, a Mariners sweatshirt, and a Mariners hoodie, really, and then a hat, a Mariners hat, trying
Of
to help
course
them
you
out,
are.
and it worked for a while. But then I only have so many clothes, so they. But
Okay.
because speaking of my beloved Seattle Mariners,
Yes.
they did lose their playoff series to the hated, documented cheater, smelly, I assume, Houston Astros. So I believe a moment of silence is warranted, but sadly we don't have time for that because the
Well,
show
okay.
is only a half an hour. But
Yeah. Okay.
back to my point. This book was about wealthy people in old-timey England, so they were always extremely dressed up, and I very much enjoyed that. And thank
Yes, they
goodness,
were.
yeah,
And lots
and
of partying,
oh
lots of
yeah,
going to pubs and
it was very
brothels.
fancy. Um,
So many brothels.
I do want to say kudos to the author. Thank goodness it wasn't about poor people
Ugh,
because they always seem to dress so poorly.
they
I mean,
do.
and I know it's tough to hear, but it needs to be said. Quit spending all of your money on food and shelter and show some pride in your appearance, poor people.
Exactly.
So that means Chronicles does get 11 out of 12 tuxedos from me.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I could be positive.
Yes,
I
you
could be
can.
nice.
You can
Yeah,
be
I'm
nice,
okay.
especially when it comes to clothing.
Yes. And even though I didn't mention it, I mean, I really should have had that. I enjoyed that the dad was so awful
He
because
was terrible. Yes,
yeah,
but he gets things. So shenanigans.
yeah.
So
I mean, you know, he gets his just rewards more than my biological father got his. So
bastard. I'm sorry. Hmm.
yes, me no, I think well, yeah, I
Well,
believe
I'm
every
just
one of my
saying.
family is sorry
I
about
know
it.
people. I know people. If you need me to help you out a little bit, I know a little people.
Well, we should
So
probably take that discussion offline.
okay.
What with the recording. But we should move on to our awarding of actual partial stars. And I give Chronicles of the Undead by Anita A.F. Stewart a third of a star due to neglecting germs and casseroles. And it would have been a lot worse if not for the fancy clothes. And
Ooh.
for me, in my opinion, that's what really saved this book. And I want Anita to know she can use that on the back of her book, perhaps something like this book was saved by all the fancy clothes, Ron L Lahr. What I
Exactly.
think is a powerful endorsement. Um, and I gift that to her free of charge. So how about you, Nikki?
For me, actually, I'm going to be a little bit more generous because I do love vampires, and I'm going
Oh,
to give it a half a star. I don't think I'm taking away from it is the fact about the Illuminati experience with this, and of course, just the dysfunctional family and really taking away the good feelings time of the Hollyways coming in. So other than that, I do love a good vampire story. So I'm still gonna just give it a half star just because it kind of bummed me out a little bit.
I no, I was right there. I was right there with you.
Bummed out, yeah.
Let's go. Let's go look at our comments so far.
We have
Um,
comments.
let's see here. Whoa, the author is here.
Ooh, hello there.
she she I feel like this is an admission of guilt that she
Ah,
messed
okay.
up with the casseroles. Um, and we have another author here
Tales by
just
Bob.
sharing with us his feelings.
He's hungry. He's a hungry man.
Well, that's funny. This speaking of my garden, um,
Oh, don't get him started
since
on
I
his
feel like
garden.
the crowd has
Uh-huh.
gone nuts begging for information. This is our last week of temperatures um, where I'm gonna. Well, this is the last week I'm gonna water the garden. I'll be moving more stuff into the greenhouse, and see how long they'll last because it will start freezing. Oh, and I did plant. So far, I've planted about 100 heads or well deals of garlic,
Ooh.
and
No
and
vampires for you.
I
Okay.
no, God no. And then we have I think another 50 to go, and shallots that I have to plant tomorrow, so that they'll be ready before frost comes. And then this is not food part of our garden, but we're going to be planting. I think we have 10 or 12 hyacinth bulbs to get in the ground after the first frost. So still actually a lot of harvesting and processing going on in our garden. Um, no, now you know. Now you can rest
Now we
assured
know.
it really would. It is me because I could talk about my garden for days. Um, well, I
Yes.
agree. I mean, I don't know. They're not as ruffly and supremely fancy as old time England. And I mean, man, would I love a bespoke suit from you know from London tailors? Yes, that's on my
Oh,
bucket list.
okay.
Oh, look, and Madeline Dale's here. Hello,
Yes.
glad to see you.
And I look gorgeous. You didn't even say anything, Ron, about how gorgeous I look.
Well, I
So
didn't
okay.
want to get canceled. I'm just going to leave this up here till Nick Madeline says something about how I look.
Yeah. We may be here a while.
Yeah, I guess she's like, too bad, you get nothing.
Super
Well,
fi.
that's
All right.
hurtful. That's hurtful. But, um, you know, I guess I can live with it. I think I look great. Purple shirt, dark gray. This actually looks black, but it's actually just a dark gray. One of my,
I think she
I
gave.
think I,
She gave me laughing. I thought she gave me. Ron only has eyes for his garden, so I just shouldn't feel too bad. That's true. If I was covered in dirt with some seeds or something, maybe I'd get some attention. But
you would. It would not be positive attention,
okay.
but
But
you probably would get attention. Um, the but we should probably move on
okay,
to
go on to
our
the next one.
second book. Oh no, before we do that,
Oh yes.
I'm supposed to say
Oh yes.
something like, "Thank you for commenting and keep them coming. We will check back in at the end of the show." And then it's time to get to know people a little better.
Oh
Not too much, but a
mm-hmm.
little. So, Nikki,
Yes.
please tell us about yourself and your books.
Hi, I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks. My business motto is pretty much cheap, quick, and weird. I write a lot of things in a lot of different genres. I write some weird western. I write some feminist steampunk. I write some good old fashioned monsters in the desert, and just straight up horror. Um, yeah, I spent an entire weekend giving that spiel about 30,000 times a day, and I'm sick of it. I am sick of all of the stories. But no, I
Sherlock
write.
Holmes stuff too, right?
Yes, I do write Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
I write a Sherlock Holmes Shrieking Pits. Yeah, I write Sherlock Holmes. I write some pulp noir stuff. I've got this thing set in 1930s New Orleans where I tortured this guy for about 6 stories. That's the New Orleans
Okay.
saga. At the end of it, he goes to L.A. Right now, I'm working on the L.A. Troubles, where I basically torture him in L.A. So it's great fun. And I'm
Nice.
working on that, and of course, an anthology of some stories called Politics of Children and Other Stories of Revenge. And that will be out this summer.
Wow. That's impressive. I'm Ron L Lahr. I write epic fantasy like the Cathaldi Chronicles, books 1 through 3 available now, but more on the way, probably at least 4 more. I also write humorous science fiction like You Get What You Steal, which I think may be the best title ever.
It's a very good title.
Um, which also has a sequel coming out next year. I also write serious self-help books like You're as Stupid as You Are Fat: How to Talk to Women.
Mm-hmm.
I've uh, I've been working on a sequel to that one too. I'm glad you lost a baby because I think you'd make an awful mother. But my wife is trying to talk me out of that because she thinks it's too awful, even for me.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Regardless, well, I should probably have you talk to my wife, but regardless, all of my books are available on the Amazon.
Oh yes, we are all Bezos's bitches here. Yeah.
Yeah, although I'm a fan.
Oh, we love you. We love you, Jeff.
Yeah, I I love giant corporations, especially ones that could help me. And I am I
Yes.
mean, to be serious, I am actually grateful to uh, Jeff. I call him Jeff.
Actually, yes, he
Uh,
really has helped a lot of young authors and for us
yeah, I mean,
independent authors to
he's
get a little foot.
he's
Yeah.
changed the world in a lot of ways, and I like most of them. And yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, 30 some years ago, and I tried to get a book published, it was an excruciating,
Yes.
long process that now you don't have to worry about any of that. And I think that's awesome. Uh, but all right, time for book 2.
Book
Um,
two.
Flux Runners by William Joseph Roberts. I will provide the synopsis for this one. Uh, I will admit, though, it is tough to summarize what happens in this book without giving too much away because so much happens, and a lot of it is like right at the beginning. I even read the blurb, and I hate blurbs. So, and comfortingly enough, this one didn't reveal a lot, which was the same thing I was thinking. Oh, you don't want to give anything away. So I thought the blurb was very appropriate, but it was also spectacularly unhelpful to me. Um, but but here's what I came up with. Flux Runners is a science fiction novel. All right, that was just
Yes.
my first draft.
Okay.
I did add a little bit later. Um, the annoying government forces our gang of heroes to accept a mission that leads to a bunch of stuff.
Shenanigans.
So, oh yeah, oh, there's definitely shenanigans, and uh, I I really don't want to say much more. Even that kind of gives away
A lot of it
what's
really.
happening to him at the beginning of the book, where
Mm-hmm.
it is mysterious. So I guess it's not a totally spoiler-free review or synopsis, but I don't want to give any of the bigger
Mm-mm.
things away. So we'll just jump right into our likes. Um, I'll go first.
Go ahead
Uh,
first.
I like choose your own adventure books. I can fondly recall many hours spent enjoying these books as a youngster, and now, as an adult who is a fervent believer in free will, I respect the ability to make your own choices about how the story progresses. Sadly, Flux Runners makes all the artistic choices for you, even though the choose your own adventure technology has existed for decades. What makes the author think he has the right to decide everything for us? Are we children to be spoon fed our entertainment? Can we not make our own decisions about killing aliens or eating our crewmates when rations run low?
Right.
It was an insult to my intelligence, and I'm quite furious. So, Flux Runners gets 0 out of 8 possible alternatives from me. Nikki, what do
Okay.
you like?
Well, something that I really like is something that's come out of the pandemic. I really like the fact that I get to work at home a lot now, and so I don't have to deal with coworkers. I don't got to deal with people,
Oh,
and I'm liking that. I like it a lot. I enjoy solitude. I enjoy peace. However, this book, not a lot of peace. There's no peace. There's just a lot of stuff going on. Constantly, constantly, constantly. Banter, 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 interaction, interaction. It's just like an office building from hell. And it's just constant people and things happening. And so that made me very sad because I wanted peace. I wanted just to be able to just to have solitude. And this story reminded me that yeah, that's a very rare thing to get. So in my opinion, I had to give this book just one half fireflies because
Ouch.
of that. I'm sorry.
Wow.
It was just
That's some
so
tough
much
love.
banter, so much.
Um, I have two things to say in response to that. One is I told you that I hate all men. It turns out I was hiding half of the truth from you, which is I also hate all women.
Oh, women
Um,
are the worst.
and there are no times when somebody is working by themselves, it feels like, in this. So I get what you're saying about the peace and quiet of working home alone. Of course, I mean most people aren't writers who don't enjoy some time alone, you know.
Oh,
But um, we should move to our don't likes.
okay.
My don't like is very related to what you said, banter.
Mm,
Uh, and the TV show Moonlighting had a ton of banter. And it's often well written, but
mm.
I find it distracting, and it draws attention away from the story, which is what I care the most about. All I really want is setting and plot. If possible, I don't even want any characters at all, just plot and setting. And at a minimum, I would appreciate if the characters are unable to speak, maybe to the point that they have no mouths. I mean, this is science fiction, right? You can make up for it with exposition. So I guess I want setting, plot, and exposition, and then mute characters are optional. Uh, so that adds up to a rating of 0 out of 8 billion quiet people for Flux Runners.
Well, here's something I don't like. And it's something that I've often said. I have a steadfast rule that I will never go on a cruise. I don't like the idea of being stuck out in the middle of the ocean with a bunch of people. No way just to like go bye and leave. But you were trapped in a floating petri dish of like germs and canned entertainment. That idea to me just sounds like hell. And quite frankly, that story is basically what this is, but in space. Castaways get pushed through a wormhole and in some weird universe that there's no sign of home and you're stuck there. So, yeah, that reminded me how much I hate the idea of being on a small boat in the middle of a huge ocean. So, again, I had to give it one half Janeways for basically showing me my own personal hell.
I guess I could have said more in the synopsis now.
About
Now,
like the
based on what you just said, yeah, the
well,
wormhole,
they'll say
the
that in the
other.
first couple of chapters, but it happens. Yeah.
So, um, let's move on
Yes.
to the things we could talk about that we liked without spoiling the plot. Um, I liked the characters. They were a likable bunch. I liked how in depth the character development was, but there were too many of them. I have chickens. I have 14 chickens, and those chickens can apparently remember up to 7 different people. But I prefer my books to have no more than 3 main characters. Everyone else shouldn't even have a name, just a nickname that helps keep them somewhat separate, like some lady or another guy. So I will say, sometimes I can't tell if I'm reviewing books or teaching the entire world how to write. I mean, should I do a TED Talk
I
or
think you
sell
do.
an online class? Those are great questions.
Those are great. Yeah. Well, mine
Wait,
is
I'm not
that.
done.
I'm sorry. Damn. Okay.
Nice try, Nikki.
Sorry.
Uh, I, I also like the pace of the book, although I did make the mistake of trying to listen to the audiobook first. And this is not a knock on the audiobook, but it was like 14 hours long. And what I discovered was that I only like audiobooks when I am driving, like driving a significant distance, and I haven't done any of that lately. So once I switched to the ebook, I made much faster progress because I read quite quickly. So invest if there was a book that took me 14 hours to read, like the physical book or the ebook, it would be the Bible. I mean, it would just be gigantic. And so normally I would finish a book in 2.5, 3 hours. And after putting in more than that time on the audiobook, I'm like, I'm never going to finish this. I mean, this is so, uh, but I did make much faster progress once I switched to the ebook. And the kind of progress I made was very similar to the pace of the book, uh, very quick. And you're welcome because right there I just tied it all back together, in a brilliant fashion. So everybody is welcome. How about you? Okay, now we're ready for you.
Well, basically, because he just said everything I was going to say.
Oh,
So,
thank God.
what I can really pull into this was, again, it was very fast paced. I really, really enjoyed the world building. This guy creates a very interesting world that's very rooted in reality, so you can actually see where it goes. I mean, it's got a lot of technical things in it, which always kind of throws me off when I read science fiction, but he's able to dumb it down for people like me that I can understand it, because I did catch a few science stuff, except when they go to, spoilers, Red Star Planet, I'm like, that's a fuckload of, sorry, that's a lot of radiation, and they bring that into play. I thought that was very cool, bring in some real science, which I enjoy, and yeah, other than that, again, much like him, I started with the audiobook, and it's great. It really is good. I do recommend it. However, it is long, and it's like a radio play. There's so many voices because there's like a cast of hundreds, it feels like, in this story. But the reader does a great job. He does a great job.
Definitely.
All the different voices and all the different characters, it's awesome. So I give him kudos for that. I really, really did enjoy that. And it's actually, if you like Firefly, if you like Farscape, if you like Lux, if you like Star Trek Voyager, if you like all those kinds of stuff, this is right up your alley.
Agreed. Although this is a pretty rough Voyager.
Oh man, this
it's
is
it's like Voyager for
much
grown-ups.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yes. It's Lux. You ever watch Lux? Am I showing my age?
No.
Lux on Lex
No, I
on
did
Lex
not.
Lex from
Lex,
years
yes.
ago.
Yes, I watched
That
Lex.
was a very, very sexy kind of Farscape kind of thing. Although
Yes.
Farscape got really sexy too. This is
It
very
did.
sexy. By the way, guys, very sexy.
So
Lots of sex.
I'm glad I went first in the things to talk about without
Yeah,
giving
you
away
took it
anything,
all.
since I took all your stuff. If
God,
I had
just
been
like
a
a
gentleman
man,
and let
just
you
like
go,
a man,
I'd have been
greedy.
screwed. All right. But now it's ratings time.
Okay.
Um, I give Flux Runners by William Joseph Roberts 1/4 of a star for more than 3 named characters who engage in far too much enjoyable banter with no input or decision making from the reader.
Well, I'm giving it 3/4 of a star, mainly because of some really interesting sexual positions he brings into this.
All right.
Just throwing it out there. Yeah.
All right. We'll look at the comments one more time, see if there's anything here. This is relating to that I only care about my garden.
Special.
Yeah, I'm special, like special education.
Helmet kind of special.
And I agree. I didn't say that, but I did like the cover.
Oh, that's a good cover. Yes.
That may be the saddest thing I've ever heard.
That is so sad.
Cheating at Choose Your Own Adventure. And
cheat?
I just did it once. I mean, I made my choices, then I lived with it because as a grade school child, I was firm in my convictions.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I'm seeing that in my head. I am actually seeing that. Okay.
All right, well, Joe Compton gave us. He used to read the endings of the Choose Your Own Adventures and try and guess how they would come together. Now that is great. I mean, that's some real exercising your imagination.
It is. That's interesting. Okay. Talks by Ron.
It'd just be Ron Talks, I guess. I'll start my own
Talks,
competing Ron Talks, and all of them are by me. Yeah. There's no other experts going.
That's your own podcast.
It's just
Ron
me.
Talks.
Ron Talks. Sexy sci-fi does sound cool.
It's very cool.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for your comments.
Thank you.
And now it is time for my weekly wrap up, if I can get to it.
Push the buttons.
All right, there we go. Thank you for watching Mean Reviews, No Stars Given. Please like this show and subscribe to the Go Indie Now channel. I'd also like to thank
Nikki Nelson Hicks
for being today's guest co-host. You were magnificent. Everyone should buy your stuff. I was truly lucky to have you with me here on the show. We should totally hang out sometime because we are very much actual, in real life, friends. I also need to thank the 2 writers or filmmakers who agreed to let us review their book or movie. You are very trusting, and I appreciate that. Even though their stuff is not to my liking, as evidenced by the fact that they received not even 1 star from me. I recommend that you purchase their work, even if it's just out of pity. So thank you.
For Chronicles of the Undead by A.F. Stewart.
And also
For Flux Runners by William Joseph Roberts.
You 2 are the best. If you would like to have your book or film reviewed on this show, please email me at ronlodellar@gmail.com. That's almost it. In fact, there's only one thing left to say, but it's an important thing. So remember,
It's always time to go indie now.